Lost in Panama. The unsolved deaths of Kris Kremers and Lisanne Froon. Kris Kremers, 21, and Lisanne Froon, 22, set out for what should have been a simple hike near a mountain resort in Panama in 2014, but they never returned. What followed was a shocking and still unexplained mystery. At the time of their disappearance, Kris and Lisanne were taking a break from their studies in the Netherlands. They had arrived in Panama to volunteer as social workers and immerse themselves in Spanish, but things didn't go as planned. They arrived in Boquete a week early, and the program administrators weren't ready for them. In fact, Kris mentioned in her diary that the assistant instructor had been very rude and not at all friendly about their early arrival. There was not yet a place or work for us, so we could not start. The school thought it odd, as it had all been planned months ago. Kris wrote, just before she and Lisanne left for their fateful hike on the morning of April 1, 2014. The hike that turned into a nightmare. Witnesses reported seeing Kris and Lisanne leave the trailhead near Boquete around 10 a.m. on that sunny Tuesday morning. They were dressed lightly, and Lisanne carried a small backpack. Photos later recovered from a camera found in that backpack showed the women smiling and seemingly enjoying themselves as they made their way to the mirador. There were no signs of anyone else with them, although there are reports that a local dog named Blue followed them part of the way. The last few photos suggest they may have crossed over to the other side of the continental divide, likely by accident. They appeared to have wandered onto a network of unmarked trails used primarily by indigenous peoples, far from the paths tourists typically follow. What started as an exciting hike quickly turned tragic. Just hours after those cheerful photos were taken, something went wrong. At 4:39 p.m., Kris made the first of several desperate calls to the Dutch emergency number, 112. 12 minutes later, Lisanne's phone was used to make another attempt, but none of the calls went through due to poor reception. Over the next few days, they made several more attempts to call for help. On April 3rd, a 911 call lasted just over a second before cutting out. By April 5th, Lisanne's phone battery had died, and Kris's iPhone was used to search for reception. However, after April 6th, incorrect PIN codes were repeatedly entered into Kris's phone, suggesting either a mix-up or that someone else was trying to use the phone. 9 weeks after their disappearance, a gold woman found Lisanne's backpack near a riverbank, 12 hours on foot from the continental divide. The contents sparked immediate speculation: 2 smartphones, 2 bras, cheap sunglasses, a water bottle, Lisanne's camera, her passport, and $83 in cash. This discovery reignited the search, and by August, authorities found scattered bone fragments along the shores of the Rio Culebra, also known as the River of the Serpent. DNA testing confirmed the remains belonged to Kris and Lisanne. However, the mystery only deepened when additional bone fragments from other unidentified individuals were also found. Lisanne's camera revealed a total of over 100 photos, many of which were taken in complete darkness, 10 days after the women disappeared. These eerie images, captured between 1 o'clock and 4 a.m. on April 8th, have puzzled investigators and fueled conspiracy theories. Only 3 of the photos show anything clearly identifiable, with one of them displaying a rock surrounded by vegetation and another showing a branch with a red plastic bag attached. Were these photos a desperate attempt to send a message, or were they simply a sign of mounting fear and confusion? To this day, many questions remain unanswered. Why were so few remains found? Why were there no marks on the bones, despite their prolonged exposure in the wilderness? And what happened during those fateful final days? Though some theorize that Kris and Lisanne were victims of foul play, others believe they may have gotten lost and succumbed to the harsh conditions of the jungle. The mysterious photos, the lack of obvious goodbye messages, and the strange condition of the remains all contribute to one of the most baffling unsolved cases in recent history. The deaths of Kris Kremers and Lisanne Froon remain a haunting mystery, one that may never be fully explained.